So what you're talking about is kind of like how people originally we all thought we were probably going to hold our Ethereum tokens on the Ethereum side and then the Pulse chain tokens on the Pulse chain side. But now everyone's basically bridged in all the tokens basically to the Pulse chain side. So you have like you basically have all the wrapped. Well, not every token, but like a lot of people have kind of moved their coins over basically on this side. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, that's right. I'm doing pretty much all my activity now on Pulse Chain. I pretty much live there, and once the arbs are kind of more automatic on all those major tokens, you can really be quite different whether the tokens are on Pulse Chain or on Ethereum, which is really great. And then if a lot of people want to come over and use Pulse Chain, because the gas is cheaper and because they can get, the wrapped, versions, which are effectively the same asset, but not have to pay, $100 swap fees on Ethereum or whatever. You actually start to have like a real proper use case for this thing. So I think this thing's a really nice protocol, also for our community because many of our founders, including us, we have multiple tokens. Richard's got what PulseX, EHEX, PHEX, and Inc. Right, so he's got 5 tokens so far. Alex has 4 tokens. The Maxi guys have like a dozen tokens, right? So having
50,
and they're gonna have
50,
more as a matter of
50.
fact. Yeah. Being able to put all those sort of tokens into a similar pool together, where they're usually sharing a lot of covariance, makes a lot of sense to me because the impermanent loss should be low over time, and they can sort of share liquidity with each other, and you can sort of make a punt on whether you think one is overpriced versus the other. So that's really what we're doing with those pools, and that's really beneficial to people as well because sometimes you don't want to have to go buy 8 different Maxi tokens or 4 different Alex tokens or 5 different Richard tokens. Sometimes that's not efficient, so it may be easier for you at some point in the future to just go and buy the RH Maxi token if you like it, maybe you don't want to have all your
owning the LP
the
token.
LP token.
Yes.
Yeah, because you're basically it's like an ETF essentially of the whole of the gains or losses of the token, right?
It's even better than that because it's an ETF that pays you LP fees.
That's right.
Right. So there's actually real yield built into it, and then there's the I would say the less real yield, which is the PHUX token that's built into some of those as well, which can lead to real yield through the VE PHUX token if you participate in that. If you think about it, it's like RVE PHUX thing is effectively the equivalent of Inc. Except unlike Inc., this thing's actually paying you half the platform fees approximately, right? Whereas Inc. just sort of inflates forever. So it's really a coin that you can either dump or stake to earn more, right? Whereas this thing actually is finite. And if you try to imagine the future, if we're able to get a decent amount of the market share of Pulse Chain, there's going to be millions and millions of dollars of fees that basically get accrued on this chain. So that's automatically going to give this some value if we're able to kind of get that early success. And that's what we're aiming for right now in terms of our broader strategy. We're trying to onboard people, let them know that we're friendly, that we're going to help them promote their tokens. So that's why we're airdropping Liquid Loans, Mintra, all these guys for that reason.
Got it. Now, in terms of yeah, because I mean, like you guys chose like the right exchange. I think personally, I've liked Balance. I've used Balancer for Forex for a long since the last bull market and stuff. They worked great. I've made tons of money on them. I've been able to yield farm successfully, vote on them. And so I was like, man, this is like awesome, right? So in terms when you launch your product or this project, right? What was like the total amount of because big thing that people always view, right, is like how much with TVL, right? Right now you got 20 million. Where did you guys start off at? Did you start off with a few million, a little bit less than that, and it just grew over time? Like, what's been the growth trajectory of your TVL so far?
I think we started with like 1.5, right? Like
that's about right. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's been 2 weeks.
We started with about that. And we're not, and it's not us adding it, right? And it's not us creating fake volume either. Right. You can go look it up. That would be very easy for us to do, but that's coming from the community, and we're going around telling everybody, hey, we're giving this token to you guys for free, 25% of it, and then the other 50% of it that's going to be trading is going to be earned by people that provide LP. So you can think about it. It's like your tokens are probably just sitting in your wallet doing nothing right now. A lot of them, maybe you're farming with some of them, but a lot of them are just sitting there doing fuck all. You might as well bring them over, create a pool if it doesn't exist already, or add to an existing pool and earn some PHUX and some LP fees, right? If you do that, it's like basically, a sacrifice for another PulseX, but without having to sacrifice anything. All you're doing is basically just lending your coins to provide LP for a period of time. And that's a pretty good strategy depending on what pool you go into. You won't necessarily have a ton of impermanent loss if you pick the right pools. And those fees can be quite generous, and the emissions from PHUX could be valuable. So we think that this is the right thing for the community in the sense that it's free. We're giving it away to everybody. It blocks weird, malicious third parties who would have ultimately showed up with some form of stable swap in the future, right? So we definitely wanted to make sure we did that, because I'm a big fan of basically the community owning these protocols and not being beholden to, some weird, dodgy guy that we don't fucking know, right? Who shows up and says, here's our stable swap pool. So I'd also rather, source the LP from the community, and we're able to do this without a sacrifice as well, which is nice, because I think if anybody else would have had to have done one to kind of get the ball rolling, but because we have so much scale with our other projects, and just so many people in the community behind us, it's sort of bootstrapping itself, which is really lovely to see.
No, I mean, this is kind of why I've backed you guys and talked you guys up and stuff for such a long time, because you guys have been the only ones that have actually launched anything. I mean, I know the bar's low right now. But you guys are jumping pretty high, but I know the bar's on the ground right now for a lot of pulse chain, right? If I'm being fucking honest, right? I couldn't stop laughing at this comment. I'm all in on V1 asking for a friend. I mean, obviously, I do get the whole obviously, I know Richard's trying to is playing his 4D chess and stuff, and he's a lot of the stuff he's doing is obviously on allegedly in some multiverses probably on purpose, right? Oh no, how'd that happen? Wow, So
you hope.
Yeah.
Yes.
Well,
that's the optimistic view.
Well, okay, you're right. Yeah, you're right.